Killing yourselves from the inside out, and you don't even realize it. You're destroying your lives. Let's stop pointing our fingers at the drug dealers because you know something you don't have to buy.
A recent study found that drug and alcohol abuse by high school kids dropped to its lowest level in 14 years. While that fact might be encouraging, the nightmare still continues. Over 50% of high school seniors still try illegal drugs before they graduate. To reverse that trend, schools continue to expose students to anti-drug programs, warning them about the hazards of drug abuse.
You see, basketball is a lot like life. Basketball has a lot of bounce, a lot of energy. Now pretend this basketball is my head, or this basketball is your head.
Al Szolack used to play pro ball for the Washington Generals, the team that always lost to the Harlem Globetrotters. Al also used to have a $1,000 a day cocaine habit, and that combination, basketball and cocaine, brought him here in front of 400 students at the Riverside High School in New Jersey.
When I was doing drugs, I lost 45 pounds, and I would look in the mirror and still thought I was big, I still thought I was bad, and I still thought I was strong. But next time you pick up that drink or that drug, it's like this. A lot of bounce and a lot of life. That's your brain, that's your head. You're killing yourselves from the inside out, and you don't even realize it. You're destroying your lives. Let's stop pointing our fingers at the drug dealers because you know something you don't have to buy. Remember, when you point that finger, lift up that thumb, and there's three pointing back at you.
Big Al has been talking tough to elementary and high school kids close to 2 years now. He calls his program Do Hugs, Not Drugs, a catchphrase he developed after a friend helped him end his 7-year addiction to cocaine.
She did something so simple. She reached out and she said, "That's okay," and she gave me a hug. Something so simple as a hug. That doesn't cost anything. And she said, "That's okay." And she took me for help. And the rest is history.
That's where this came from. Do hugs, not drugs. Because I never heard of anyone
Dying from a hug. Nobody. But I have from drugs. My program works in a threefold method. If they're not using drugs, they won't start. If they are using drugs, they'll stop. And if they have a problem with drugs, they will seek help. And I'm just trying to hopefully just change one kid's mind so that he won't have to go through the same pain, the same feelings and the same emotions that I went through as a drug addict. I'm not proud of my experience, but I'm proud as hell that I'm doing something about it. I made the biggest mistake I ever made in my life by saying that word yes.
School administrators have beefed up their programs to fight drug and alcohol abuse among kids. Signs of the times are everywhere, and it's programs like Big Al's that are making life easier for Riverside's drug czar, Joan Vale.
He does some major door opening that maybe would be kept closed. So I think that there's a need within the scope of the whole total picture for the Al Szolack. I've seen many of the other programs that I would put him at the top of the list for being positive. And I like to deal with my life in a positive level, and I think that's where he connects with me.
Go home tonight and take a good look at yourselves in the mirror and see if you like what you see. It's about time that each and every one of you individually gets honest with yourself. Because I used to go through life too and say, I'll be honest with you, but not you. Until I learned that there's only one person that I have to be honest with, and that's me.
After 1 hour, Big Al asked all teachers to leave the auditorium.
With that, we'll ask the teachers to see you later.
When I kick the administration out with the teachers and everybody, it forms a trust bond between the kids and myself. And what goes on behind those closed doors, stays behind those closed doors. I try to build their self-esteem, and I just try to get them to get the things that are bothering them off their chest. I am there to listen. I'm there to help them. I'm not there to hurt anybody.
Behind closed doors and separate from authority figures, the students, as if by magic, come front and center pouring out their innermost feelings. Each and every one gets a hug and some long overdue understanding from Al.
I've been at schools where they gave me cocaine, pot, pipes, paraphernalia, drug dealers apologizing to their students for dealing. And granted, there are going to be some that are going to go right back on a week from now. If the kid doesn't want help and the kid doesn't want to change, there's nothing that anybody can do or say.
I think the thing that this program can do is the students who are not maybe into that depth of alcoholism or addiction, but are on that borderline, because most teenagers abuse to some degree, will now be able to identify where they sit.
I just try to be somebody for them, you know, to listen and to let them know that one person out there does love them and does care, and this helps, and it does have an effect on them.
There's only 3 places that you're going to end up if you play around drinking or drugging. 1, you're going to end up in jail. 2, you're going to end up in an institution. Or 3, you're going to die.
It was clear by the looks on most faces that left the assembly that afternoon that these kids had gotten a wake-up call, a message they would remember for a long time.
He knows where he's coming from, and he's not just speaking like from book knowledge, he's speaking from the experience knowledge, and he makes you want to talk. And the hug, I like his, you know, do hugs, not drugs. I think a hug helps, and it makes you feel a lot better, like you have friends that really care.
This meeting, it just brought me closer to my friends, and I think Big Al was a big help, and I think it was great.
You know, you don't realize how many problems that everyone else has, and something like this brings everybody closer, and I think he's changed the attitude of the high school.
I feel emotionally drained, but when I get the hugs and I get to see the smiles on these kids' faces of what the program has done for them and what their friends have done for them also, it gives me a good feeling inside. It's a high that no drug has ever been able to give me.
As a professional basketball player, Big Al Szolack had the longest losing streak of any athlete. But at 38 years old, he's turning that around. To the thousands of kids that he's helped, Big Al is finally a winner.